And welcome everybody to our stream of making the game Aberrant. So today we're just going over some suggestions after the last playtest. So as we can see here, I'm going to be working on the grenade. So as you can see there, it's about the same size as the player, actually bigger. So I'm going to want to change that eventually when past me gets to it. So I'm going to go into the sprites section, and there's a little bit of a dawdle there. Come on. I'm going to pick up my equipment, go into the grenade, and as we see, it's 80 by 80 pixels. So in this game, the way the art style's set up, it's everything's in a 10 square by 10 square grid, and each one of those squares are 8 pixels. So as we can see there, it's just not going to work for a 20 by 20 is way too small for the size of the art style we're going to. So in a moment, I'm going to go to a 40 by 40. But there you see I'm just showing just how little space I have to work with a 8 by 8 pixel square with only 20 pixels to go, which I should have realized as soon as I put that in. There we go again. What was that? Yep, so we go in there, 40 pixels by 40, or yeah, 40 pixels by 40 pixels. And there, that seems like a lot more space to work with. So with the way GameMaker works here, they don't have an 8 by 8 pixel brush. They have a 7 by 7, but not an 8 by 8. So what I do is I copy and paste I copy an 8 by 8 square, use the white to get the proper brush, cut that out, and now I have an 8 by 8 pixel square. Really what I should have done is done everything in by 7 pixels and just had everything as a multiple of 7. But I think that would cause issues later down the track. So I'm happy with 8 by 8. Now, this whole process here was I'd make a cylinder or a circle, and then I'm looking at that and it doesn't quite look grenade-like enough. And that's too big, just kind of looks like a green square. So we're trying again. Back to just a little square. I've got a darker color. If that one looks, that's the one I went for. And then we got the spoon for our grenade. We go there, we look at that. Doesn't quite look like a grenade, but it looks like something. And so here I'm going to try add a little ring to it. As you can see, it's too. It looks too big, at least for me. And there, you can't really tell what it is. You know, on second thoughts, looking back at it, that ring didn't look too bad. But yeah, this is what I ended up going with in the long run. Just putting the little tab there. Remember, there's not a lot of space you can really work with. Here I'm trying to show some depth, but it's not enough space there, so I'm going to keep it looking kind of flat. So this ends up being the final product. If I get, let's see how long past me takes to realize that. It might not be final. I might go back into it and change it. There we're looking at it. It's now a lot smaller. It's more closer to the player size. It's a little bit more readable. So you're not it's not huge and looking out of place in the world, but also it's not not tiny, and which would be more realistic if it was like maybe 1 pixel wide. But then it wouldn't be readable. You wouldn't really know what it is. It'd just be a little green thing. And as of now, I don't have anything indicating that you can actually that you have grenades or anything. So that's something I'll have to go and change in a later date. So here we see I'm going into my grenade thrown object. I'm just going to change the sprite here. Oh, sorry, that's grenade thrown sprite. I'm just going to change it up a little bit. So the idea was I'm not going to have a grenade get thrown and then still has the pin and everything on it. So as you see there, GameMaker saves my little 8x8 pixel every time I have it there, and I'll keep it in memory for a little bit. So there we go. That's the grenade done. I'm just thinking about something there for some reason. Okay. Now going to my objects, I'm just going to change my thrown grenade object to the thrown grenade sprite. If I tap the right object, come on, Anthony, you got this. I think here I was. So the reason why I'm redoing the voiceover is because I had my mic muted the whole time I was doing this. So this is a redouble of the voice tape. So I was going over there and explaining how I haven't been consistent with my naming convention, which is really bad. It's given me a lot of trouble. Not so much that it's like unworkable, but it's just it makes life more difficult. But then it's also difficult to keep up the naming convention, and most of the problems have been easy fixes. So it's not bothering me too much now. So we see here, I'm just changing the explaining the range and the timer there. So I'm working in frames per second. That range is 90 frames per second. So every frame, it will drop down one value. Same with that timer there. So after the road game's running at 60, so after 2 seconds, the timer's going to go out and the thing's going to explode. And then here we see I'm going into player stats, and I'm going to add a variable here called throw or throw speed. And I've put all my stats into a single object. So this helps that I just have a one-stop shop to just go and edit all my my variables for the player. And in the step event, that's just when I need to keep checking variables. So as you see, there's a little bit less in there, but it's all the ones that get changed depending on what like the weapon is, or how much ammunition you have, etc., etc. And so, like your bullet speed will change with the sniper rifle compared to the pistol. So as we see there, we've got the I'm setting the throw speed to 4. I'm going to change this later because it's kind of slow. So here's me thinking about how I want to do it. I'll end up going with throw speed, throw underscore speed. Go into object thrag, and I just change this to throw speed. I think I have it as a though speed. This ends up causing me some trouble in the long run with my poor typing skills there. So we go back into that, and I'm just checking my variables, explaining what happens. So that assign range there, it's -1 relative, so every frame it's ticking away 1. And that timer there is doing the same thing, and I realize it's in the wrong place. So I bring it up, and now it's going to start ticking down the same time as well. So every second they're both ticking down, and as you saw before, the timer was longer than the range, so it should fly, stop, wait a second, explode. And then it's going to create an explosion, and then destroy itself. So when we go into the explosion event, you'll see that that's where it makes all its shrapnel, plays a sound. And this was a duplicated object, so we got some stuff in there that doesn't really make sense. So I'm going to get rid of the point direction and the speed. I probably also could have got rid of the image angle there as well, but that just rotates the explosion, so it'll be a little bit different every time. And then it creates an absolute ton of shrapnel. So if we go into object player again, and we'll see, or in the object shrapnel, we'll see that that just moves off in a random direction at a speed of 10. And then in the step event here, we see that they have their range, and and the range is less than 1. They just destroy themselves. Okay, what was I desperately trying to show you here? Okay, so here's me trying to run the game. My computer's just chugging along trying to figure out how to build this. I don't think it will take this long to load in the final game, but I'll export it eventually and check and see how it actually runs. Okay, I think you can't see me actually run the game. Okay, so come towards I just retook that bit of gameplay, and as you see here, the grenade is no longer twice the size of the player, and is now about the same size as the player, but it's a little bit more readable now. I think that looks like a grenade. Maybe someone can tell me otherwise. I've also, this recording is also taken at a bit of a later date, and now the enemies have a 1 in 30 chance of dropping a grenade. And as you see, the grenades also bounce around. They create their explosion and send shrapnel out everywhere. So there we go. Oh, both guys made the drop the grenade. So you look here. Yep, grenades bounce around. Not quite the way I want them to bounce around, but I can figure that out at a later date. Still sticking somewhat. But yeah, everything seems to be working the way I wanted it to work, except for the bouncing, which we'll solve later. Yeah, they make their shrapnel, they make their explosion, and it seems to be working nicely. That's all the little bit of gameplay I wanted to show you guys. Thanks for watching, and like, subscribe, and all that. See you guys around.